Well, good afternoon. I'm welcoming you very briefly to this meeting. We're just going to wait 1 minute whilst the attendees pull themselves in from the waiting room. My only responsibility now, before handing over to Mario, is to point out that this event is being recorded. It's the first time we've done an AGM, a full AGM, online like this, so I'm sure it will go very smoothly. It means we have slightly more attendees here than we normally have at an AGM, which is excellent news. One small piece of housekeeping: if you've got any points you wish to raise, please do so on the question area. There's a questions button where you can pose questions that we can try and answer, and everybody can read those questions, so be fairly careful what you say. I'm just going to hand you over to Mario now, if I may. Mario.
Thank you, Tom. Well, welcome everybody to the AGM in rather unusual circumstances. I think my first duty before I say a few words is to ask if there are any comments or any matters arising from the previous minutes of the AGM held a year ago on the 31st of October. So if there are any comments or matters arising, please do so now. If not, I should take them as read and approved. I don't see any of you, Tom. There's looking at my very... No. Okay. As an intro, I won't. I'll try not to dwell on the obvious. It's been a rather remarkable year for all of us in the travel sector and probably in every sector. Very few sectors have flourished during this time, and travel has been particularly hard. At ETOA, I think we've been working as hard as everybody in the commercial sector to ensure that ETOA has a future and is relevant in the future, and we had to adapt very quickly to the new normal. And I'm very, very pleased to say that one of the things we did do is adapt very speedily, and we took all the actions that we felt necessary very, very quickly to ensure that our finances were as steady and as stable as they could be, that the events could continue in a different fashion, and that the lobbying, whilst changing its format, remained strong and relevant. And we had to quickly adapt to a virtual world and a new world. We soon took on and adopted a number of webinars to help our members throughout Europe in terms of understanding what was going on at a local level and at a pan-European level, to understand what was happening in source markets. We also decided that we needed to continue our events. And the first virtual event which we ran was City Fair, which ran extremely successfully. This led to some other events which came to us from national tourist offices, like the Swiss Tourist Office, the Irish Tourism, and some regional tourist offices in Paris and Catalonia. And so our success at running these events has proved one of the strong points for ETOA. And we have many more lined up, including our biggest event of the year being GEM, which is tomorrow. So over and above that, we had to change our lobbying, and of course, a lot of our previous lobbying issues very quickly disappeared, and we've had to lobby for new issues. And particularly now, looking forward, we're needing to ensure that we're lobbying for making Europe as user-friendly and as cohesive for our tour operator members to work within Europe in the future. So that is one of our chief actions. So we have had a lot going on. We've had to move quickly. We've had to make a lot of changes. The team have been very adept at working remotely and working in the new world. And I think that ETOA, now that it has a new future to look for and a new Europe and a new marketplace to look forward to, it is in a strong position. I will pass over to Karen, because obviously the most important thing at this stage is that we have the finances and we're in a strong enough financial situation to do so. So that is we found ourselves in a positive and strong situation, and Karen will talk us through the current finances and how we plan to tackle at least the next 12 months. Over to you, Karen.
Thank you, Mario. Good afternoon from me, from Bavaria. As you might be aware, I've taken over from Sean last December as treasurer of ETOA, and it's my pleasure now to present our 2019 financials, also an overview on 2020 and an outlook on 2021. In the documents which have been sent to you yesterday, you might have found the financial accounts for 2019. I just wanted to highlight the main points for you to take away. The underlying EBITDA we achieved in 2019 as an association was £93,000, which is important from a cash perspective to bear in mind. That translated into £6,000 we could transfer over to our reserves. And at the end of 2019, and I think that's a very good starting point for what there was to come in 2020 and beyond, our accumulated reserves were £740,000, so a very healthy amount of reserve to help us through these challenging times. The accounts you've received, there were checked by our accountants, Elman Wall. There are no issues or no material concerns to be reported. So unless there are any questions from you, I'd like to move on to 2020. I think there aren't any. Thank you. Well, 2020, we started on a very positive note. We had record numbers of members. We had very healthy projection for on the income side from a wide range of events, existing and new ones and extended ones planned. So the budgeted EBITDA for 2020 was a surplus of £180,000. Well, then, as we're all aware, COVID happened, and I have to say that Tom and the team, supported by the board, have reacted very quickly and very swiftly in March. Started with reorganizing the team and an extensive cost-cutting exercise, which resulted in a cost reduction of £500,000, 500,000, so a lot of money. So whatever events and support the Secretariat has given to its members this year was done with 40% of the staff which we had at the beginning of this year. The outlook for this year from a financial perspective will be at this stage that we expect an EBITDA of about 200,000, and that's a loss. After depreciation, that will be 312,000 loss. We are in unprecedented times. As I said before, we have accumulated reserves which were built up exactly for times like this. Everything has been done to reduce costs, but the main focus of every association is to represent the interest of its members. And also what the board has decided to go ahead with is the investment in a very sophisticated CRM system, which will help us and which will make our processes a lot more efficient, and which will help us to look after our members even better in the future. From a cash perspective, and as we all know, at the moment cash is king. We are in a healthy situation. We are aware that due to what's going on in industry, the number of cancellations might be higher this year, also the number of bad debts, but that has been accounted for and expected also in the forecast I've given you. So the cash balance we are expecting at the end of this year will be around £500,000. What has happened, though, just to give us that extra cushion to get us through the next months and to the next year, is that we have applied, the board has taken the decision to apply for a SIBO. It has been granted in September and we've received it about 4 weeks ago. For those who are not familiar with a SIBO, it's a UK government support loan for businesses hit by coronavirus in the first year. It's interest-free and repayment will start in a year's time, monthly installments over 5 years, which can also be extended if necessary. We just, as a board, we thought it prudent to apply for it, and there was absolutely no issue in getting it. Our reserves will be, at the end of the year, will be around £400,000 to £450,000. Are there any questions in regards to 2020 from your side?
None have been raised so far.
Okay, thank you. In regards to 2021, one of the documents we've sent you yesterday was an outlook on 2021. As you know, we live in extremely unpredictable times with a lot of uncertainty. So as a board, we've decided to sign off the budget for 2021 in the December board meeting. Nevertheless, of course, we've been working on different scenarios for 2021 for a while, ranging from worst case to best case. And we've attached them for your information. We already have agreed that we will work going forward for 2021 on a worst case scenario, but as we've the same process what we've done this year, we reassessed where we are on a quarterly basis, had monthly finance update calls just to make sure we are on top of everything. So whatever will happen, we will be flexible and we will adjust as and when needed in both directions. And what I want to stress here is that as an association, ETOA's primary focus is and remains to serve its members and to get through this and start 2022 in the best possible financial situation. Just one addition to what I said, you might have all received the email regarding membership fees, has been sent out in the last days. All the predictions and projections and scenarios do include what has been communicated. So in summary, we've started with on a very solid basis. We have done the best possible management of our cash flow and of our expenses, and a big thank you from me as well to the Secretariat, not only for being so on top of finances, but also to delivering such a great range of benefits and value to its members. So it's a really great job. So overall, I can assure the members that ETOA is in a strong position, and that as and when the situation will change and will improve, we will revert back to generating the surpluses you were used to from ETOA in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. That's very helpful and very concise. I think it just demonstrates that number one, having reserves are vital, and clearly we want to hang on to some of those, but they are there for a purpose, and purposes like these. Secondly, we have a very prudent approach to the financial side. We're having a monthly Finance Committee meeting just to make sure that the cash projections are where they are meant to be. The CBIL loan is a nice safety net for us to fall back on if we need it. And of course, we've taken some quite brave steps vis-a-vis 2021 membership pricing. And I don't know if Tom wants to cover that again, but ultimately we're trying to be as cautious as possible whilst trying to ensure that ETOA is going to be around in the future and is going to be fighting for our members to help us all in the commercial world when tourism does rebound, and we are hopeful that that will at least start in some form or other in 2021. So that's on the financial side. Tom, I think over to you, and then I know there are various short introductions from various members of this senior leadership team.
Indeed. Thank you, Mario. Before I go, there's one minor protocol I need to go through, which involves your participation. We are going to be doing a number of motions further down the agenda, and normally or formally we require a proposer and a seconder. This is very difficult using the online system we have. So we will be doing polling. You will get a chance to vote on it, but we won't have a proposer or a seconder. But I think just to make sure that we're doing everything correctly, I'm just going to ask you your permission that we can do this. So you're going to see a poll coming up now, which is merely to say we are content to receive motions without formal proposals. If anybody objects to that, please press no. Otherwise, just press yes, and we can move forward on it. I've got, thank you, you are very, very prompt. So I've got nearly everyone voting. That's marvelous. I will close the poll. Thank you very much indeed. You'll be interested to know that everyone thought we could do that. Everybody knows the depth of the crisis that we've been facing. It's already been touched on that at the beginning of the year, we had to make substantial adjustments in the Secretariat back in March. As Karen alluded to, we shrank roughly by 40%. I think the crucial point to recognise is that most of this saving took place in the area which is responsible for signing up new members. That doesn't mean that we're not ambitious in that area. It just means that we thought we'd best concentrate our resources on delivering value to the members that we have, i.e. you and the associate members that are out there. I also ought to mention that the savings that Karen alluded to was achieved not by just by losing staff, but the staff themselves have taken a reasonably substantial salary sacrifice as well. So the whole team are very much involved in this. What we've been concentrating on is delivering events, delivering on the website, particularly webinars, but also research. And you'll be hearing about this in a second from my colleagues. And we'll also have not in any way stinted it on our lobbying activity. I think when we were looking forward to 2021, it was quite clear to me that in the current crisis, we could not afford to lose what is one of our principal assets. One of our principal assets is that over the last nearly 30 years, we've been building up a base of tour operator full members. And for us to lose a significant portion of them in the current situation would have dreadfully weakened ETOA as an organisation. So it was decided by the board that what we would do is turn around and make all contributions from tour operator full members voluntary. And this is what we communicated to you last week. I would say that with this voluntary contribution, and I'm really been touched at the number of people who've written in and said that they intend to pay their full subscription next year. But it's really important for us, those people facing really critical problems, that we carry them, help try and carry them through this crisis. I think it's quite important to note that the shift of emphasis becomes one of obligation towards the associate members, who will now be paying a large portion of the cost of the association. So I would ask everybody that what we need to do next year, and it's in our interest to do this next year, is to ensure that events are really well attended, and that we will be asking all members for information as to what the state of the market is and where they think the market is going to be moving, which is really crucial information, not just for the associate members, but for the industry as a whole and the national tourist boards and governments which we're trying to lobby. So it has a multiple function, this information search. I really want to just hand over to the team members here just to run through some of the things that we've done and we are hoping to do. So I'm going to hand you over to Sean Taggart, who is our new commercial director, and he will give you a quick insight. Thank you. Sean.
Thank you, Tom, and hello, members. As you know, I took on this role in November last year, and Karen has been great at stepping into my shoes as treasurer. Thank you, Karen, for putting up with us. But in theory, this was an interim role which just keeps continuing. But I must say, it's been a really fascinating, if sometimes pretty scary and challenging 8 or 9 months recently. I think our fundamental approach in membership is we want to turn what is undoubtedly a huge challenge for the industry and for ETOA into an opportunity that we can take full advantage of, and hence the decision to go with voluntary contributions and membership for our buyer members, for you, means not only that we can continue to support you and take you through this crisis with us and deliver value to our associate members, but equally importantly, we can diversify our base of members, we can bring more value to our associates, and we can take the opportunity to engage with buyers across the globe that we might want to have engaged with before, but simply it just wasn't right for them. So the team is looking at an ambitious plan of buyer membership expansion across multiple markets, obviously driven by the fact that we can now deliver events virtually to any member in any country. This opens up a whole new range of opportunities for growth in buyer membership, and in a virtuous circle allows associates to do even more business and have even more reason to be part of ETOA. So we are planning I'm hoping, a rapid expansion of membership whilst we look after you, our existing members. And it is about diversifying the buyer membership base to make sure that we are as relevant as possible for our associates. We will continue, obviously, to maintain quality. We will not just take anyone in. We will make sure that the quality that our associates need and you need as colleagues, colleague members, is also properly protected. But as Tom said, this is more than just the price. This is about engagement. And we want to make sure that we really engage with you and you equally engage with us. And I'd like to now just hand over to Rachel, who's going to talk a little bit more about the insight work you should be doing, the research, and our new portal, all of which I think will help you and our associate members get even more out of the association. So with that, I hand over to Rachel.
Thank you, Sean. I think probably the best place to start is where you left off, Sean, on the bigger member base of buyers that this opportunity presents, and the fact that we are pitching it as a collaborative membership, I think gives us a very good opportunity when it comes to industry research, because one of our great strengths with politicians and the media is that we are the voice of the industry, and the more of the industry that we represent, the greater our credibility in both those arenas. And we will, with our new CRM system that Karen mentioned, be able to set up, for example, quarterly barometers, very quick, easy polls, which we can then have as a business tracker that we update 4 times a year. We'll be able to perhaps have smaller focus groups who we poll on specific areas that we can come back to. So it presents a lot of opportunities for us to get our own industry research out there. And that is an area that we will certainly be developing very soon and into 2021. With regard to other types of insight, of course, there is research out there already, lots of it, and many of you might have seen our new Insight Hub, which is on the website. So at the beginning of the pandemic, we took the decision to bring forward that piece of work because we felt that it was a valuable service to our members in a very difficult time. So we set that up quite quickly. Around April time, and I work on that in collaboration with David Edwards, who many of you may know. He's a well-known tourism stats expert. He's done a lot of work with Visit Britain. He worked for them for many, many years, heading up their research facility, and he works for us 2 days a month, primarily summarizing the pieces that go into there. So one of the things we recognize is that people don't have, you know, several hours to troll around the internet, find reports, download them, read them. So we've picked out the most pertinent ones, and David has written short summaries, and then you have the option to download further if you wish. We also plan to do more Insight webinars. We've done a couple already, and tomorrow, well, David and I have already recorded the session for the lunchtime broadcast at GEM tomorrow, whereby we look through the Insight Hub and pick out relevant pieces and charts and talk through what the prospects look like going forward. So that is, as I say, available now, and we will continue to add to that as we go through. And I think just one other thing to mention with regards to what we're doing on the front end, as it were, to enhance the member experience is, again, with the new CRM comes a self-service web portal. So that's ready to go live very soon. And that means that you as members are going to be able to go into there and update your own details and your company description. You can see what events you've registered for, which ones you've paid for. You can see, not that's for suppliers, the payment, but you can see the invoices for that as well. And I think one thing that's very important is the security aspect. I know some of you will have seen that we have been, unfortunately, the victims of a couple of cyber scams over the last 12 to 18 months, whereby somebody has posed as ETOA saying, here's your invoice in an attachment, please pay, to obviously the wrong bank account. We will no longer be sending attachments out. People will have to log into the portal, so you will know instantly any attachment from us is a scam. And I think that's a really important security feature for our members, and that'll be ready to launch very soon. You'll be hearing more about that in the coming weeks. I think that's really the summary from me. With regards to developments on the tech side, we've done a lot also for events, so it's a perfect time to hand over to Aaron, who can fill you in on what we've done.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. So in my area, which is all of the ETOA events, I think that just builds on what Sean and Rachel have already covered. Obviously, looking back over this interesting year, we started off in a lucky situation, as to Karen's point as well, that we do a big glut of events at the very beginning of the year before this all kicked off properly. But we've learned an incredible amount this year, delivering all of our different types of events online. So across that time, we've done 41 webinars with about 4,500 attendees, of which about 100,000 minutes have been viewed as recordings afterwards. So we're really getting not only on the commercial side, which we'll definitely see again in full force tomorrow at GEM, but on the content side as well, we really be able to kind of get a bigger audience, more specific content and subject matters covered more readily using the different online tools. So across this year, going on to the commercial side, we've delivered 7 ETOA workshops, City Fair, and then GEM tomorrow will be online on our new portal. If you're not aware, we've developed this as an extension to the Celestina matching service. So it's proprietary on our side, and we will be developing that every cycle when we identify new things to be done. So the 2020 total so far is about 32,000 appointments matched for about 1,200 delegates across our workshop events. So it's a big number and comparable to previous years not too long ago. So we're in a good place and therefore confident for 2021 against all odds. And that confidence, strangely enough, definitely comes from the operator side, so the ETOA member side. And we've definitely felt in the event sales team under my supervision that we're that node in confidence between the operators and the associate members who we spoke to this morning. So looking ahead to next year, We are confident in the fact that we're going to be expanding our buyer base and therefore hope to attract more diverse supplier base as well at our events, to the extent that we're actually adding an additional event into our portfolio. So alongside our existing events that I'm sure you're aware, and specifically the China market event, the China European Marketplace, we'll be adding a North American workshop as well. So in that mix, not only our own events, but we're also, with the success of the online platform, getting a lot of interest from various partners, be they national or regional tourist boards and other associations, who are putting very destination-specific and sector-specific events on under our white label brand. So a lot of that includes a lot of input also from our operator side, so that will even expand further the products and destinations that we can help you contract. So next year it'll all be about accessibility. To let you know, the plan is that we won't be doing a live in-person event until GEM next year, so that's a year tomorrow, which sounds extreme, but I think it's actually fitting well with the circumstances that we all face at the moment. It's a very efficient, productive way of doing business at the moment, if not quite as fun as it can be with drinks receptions and fam trips and all of the other bells and whistles that it goes with. But obviously right now we're all being very sensible and getting to work. So I think the online system is a great addition to our portfolio of capacity. Will definitely be part of our setup even when we have the opportunity to do live events. So as I said, it's going to be all about accessibility across time zones and different functionalities on the platform. And then just a word on the supplier offers that we're providing. Obviously, Tom has outlined the situation with the voluntary membership for the operators. We're digging very deep to benefit the suppliers, obviously to help them through this difficult time. So really highlighting the value of membership, staying members, and then also attending as many events as is worthwhile for them, with really great package deals and great member pricing. So we'll be launching the new events just after GEM, so keep an eye out for the registrations for those going forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. I think, is this over to Tim now?
Yep. Hi, Mario. Afternoon, everybody. I'm quickly going to give you an update with regard to communications, Brussels, and working groups. And let's just start with Brussels this time. One of the byproducts of the last several months has been that people have got a much better idea of who we are in terms of our membership and what our capability is than we might otherwise have had, because we've spent a lot of time in the last 7 or 8 months on conference calls with 15, 20 other associations. And it's very interesting to see people go, we didn't know you could run events for other people, for example. And our capability in this area is getting talked about. And it's one of the unforeseen benefits of everyone just chatting a lot more and being able to join the same meeting wherever they happen to be sitting. So on a lobbying front, Mario's characterized what the focus is. You've all received a newsletter today which give you more detail, so I won't repeat that. But the access we've got is very good. We are unusual in Brussels for being a direct membership organization, and that's really making a distinctive difference to the contribution we have. So if I'm chatting with the Commission and all the other gang from the Tourism Manifesto every Thursday, and we can say, well, we had a working group yesterday and this is what they said, it's very often the case that the guy from the Commission says, oh, actually, can you give me more detail on that? And it's very clear that people who, for example, are representatives of hotel associations simply don't have that kind of hands-on knowledge that we do. So I think in terms of credibility and influence, weirdly, this year has been a plus for us, and it's developed some strategic relationships for us. As far as working groups go, they are developing. Clearly, it's easier to join from anywhere. So instead of just being Paris, they're France. Instead of Rome, they're Italy, and so forth. We're testing a couple of others. Had a pilot one in Germany the other week just to get a sense of where it would make most sense for us to contribute that doesn't duplicate what domestic organizations are doing. You know, where's a useful ETOA-shaped hole for us to fill? And the conclusion of that was we should focus at destination and European level and not worry too much about national level. And we're talking to people like DTV who would like to do more work with us and perhaps have a partnership. So very encouraging signs there. And our friends in Nordic Tourism Collective, Travel Collective, sorry, got that wrong. Anyway, our friends Paul and Andy up in the Nordics are doing great stuff securing membership up there and generally flying the flag, and that is something that's really developed over the last few months. And the Nordic Working Group is providing a very strong, cohesive group of people, both on the supplier and buyer side. Quickly on communications, I think lots of credit to the team for huge amount of work with the output increased hugely from the second half of March, weekly bulletins, you name it. You've been extremely helpful in helping us understand what type of information is most helpful. We've got some sense of which bits of the website you go to, and the analytics will get better. But I think particularly all of those of you who are in things like the group tourism working group who are saying, this is useful, could we have more of this or more of that? And I know many of you have been having one-on-one chats with Simon, Sophie and others through the year. But it really has felt like a collaborative process for us to prioritize the stuff that's most useful for you, and let's continue that. I'll pause there, Mario. If anyone's got related questions, happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you all. I think that was a very, very concise and informative sum up of what's been happening over the last 6 months, and clearly it just demonstrates how quickly we've adapted in the new world, and how ETOA is doing its utmost to remain relevant to at the lobbying level and at the membership level and defence level and so on. So I think some great work has been done there, and great to hear it. I think, Tom, we now move on to the more formal side of the agenda. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
Before we move on to that or not?
I think we can do so. I would just, if I may, just as a coda to what we've just heard, just to note that the fact that we've moved online is extremely significant. You may have seen in the last few hours that ITB has just announced that ITB itself is going to be online next March. This proves that we're partly on trend. It also proves that there's going to be lots of competition for us next year, and it means that, and this is a collective association, it's a mutual, your association, we all have got to try and rise to that challenge, because we're going to have lots more people in our field. I would also just mention in passing that this AGM was supposed to address quite a significant constitutional change, which we were hoping to effect, whereby we were going to be moving the control of ETOA away from the London entity, which would still remain, but towards the AISBL, the organisation that we have in Brussels. It's going to be very important in future years for us to appear really European rather than British, which unfortunately at the moment looks slightly less European. But that is been delayed for obvious reasons, and you will hear more about that in the new year. Mario, shall I pose the questions, because I'm in control of the polling?
I just wanted to add a little note to that, because obviously it's relevant, and I was going to say, and I forget to mention earlier, that there was a plan linked to the move to the ASBL, that the board, we would sort of rejig the board and bring in some new board members, and I think that was going to happen, but due to this year's unforeseen circumstances, we felt probably better to leave the board in place and to make those changes next year, when certainly it will be necessary, and I think also with the move to Brussels, I think that will coincide nicely. But it is not forgotten.
Yeah, no, I would just merely say we will go through that formal process. This is not the time to discuss it. I just wanted to flag up that will indeed be happening, we hope, in the new year.
Indeed.
Just from a personal point of view, before we go on, I would just like to say that we've survived this year obviously enormously helped by my colleagues in the Secretariat, but also from the support of the board and the advice of the Advisory Council. So before we proceed on this, just a personal note from me, and indeed from all the Secretariat, how deeply grateful we are for the time sacrificed by everyone involved in these areas. We do really appreciate it. Mario, I think because I'm in charge of the polling, it might make sense for me to pose the questions, if that's all right.
Please do.
Okay. If I could just have your attention, we can do this fairly quickly, if everyone is alert with their buttons. I have a number of things to go through. The first question we need to address is to excuse me. Probably lost the polling. Right, don't worry. We need to re-elect the Advisory Council of the Association. You have a list of them in the handouts at the bottom, but I'm going to launch that poll now, and you'll see the question. I'd be very grateful if you could either agree or disagree. Right, we're very close to everyone voting. That's fine. We're on 80%. I will close that vote. Thank you very much indeed. There was an 100% agreement behind that. The next question is simply to resolve to re-elect Jack Corona as president of the association. I'm going to launch that question. And again, I've got nearly everybody. You're very quick. We've got a 90% response there. That's very good. Thank you. He is re-elected. Then we reappoint Mario Bedini as chairman. Mario, shut your eyes. Again, I've got effectively a 90% response. Thank you very much indeed. You can keep moving as fast as this will be doing very well. We need to re-elect the ex-chairman, Patrick Richards, as a director. Thank you very much. It's taken. We need to re-elect Sean Taggart as a director. Thank you very much. We need to re-elect as treasurer and a director, Karen Urban. Thank you very much. Then you've got to reappoint me. I don't normally ask this question, but I have to. You're reappointing me as a director. I don't have too many people disagreeing, so that's merciful. Thank you. We're very, very close. Then we have Jean-Claude Balanos as director. Thank you very much. And two to go, I think. We've got Jennifer Tombo as a director. Thank you very much indeed. And the last question I'm posing to you is that we resolve to reappoint Elman Wall as company auditors and to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration. Thank you very much. We've completed the polling process. Over to you, Chairman.
Thank you. That was quick and efficient, and I'm glad you got re-elected, Tom. What can I say? I mean, I think we covered. I guess you don't have any questions come to you, do they, Tom? If they were any.
No, nobody's posed any questions.
Okay, cool. Hang on, I lost myself. Can you still see me? Have you lost me?
No, I can still. You're still there.
Okay, good. I've lost myself. Okay, well, just to say thank you all for attending. It's been an incredibly unusual, that word has been overused, unprecedented year for most. Hopefully, when we meet in a year's time for the AGM, we'll be in a different world with much more optimism, much more exciting news. And apart from that, I think we can close the meeting, Tom.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much indeed. I will say goodbye. Those of you attending GEM, it's going to be a very full day. I'm only sorry that we can't have a drink at the end of it. It's the first time we've attended a meeting that has meetings running solidly from 8 AM in the morning till 6 PM at night. So make sure that you have coffee during the day and a drink at the end. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.